Hey, on the channel, Nostalgia Mania is running high, just like Hulkamania once upon a time. In today's video, we're taking a trip back to the 80s with the brand new Mattel LJN Hulk Hogan figures.
And the spirit of Ultimate Warrior will run forever!
Kyle here, and welcome back to the channel for an extra special video here today. As today we're taking a trip down memory lane with the Hulkster. We're going all the way back to the 80s with LJNs, but in a plot twist, they're back here in 2025, and we're going to dive into the regular and chase Hulk Hogan. But for all your LJN needs, obviously Target, that's where they're exclusive to, at least as of right now. But for everything else into the wrestling related, son, hit up Ringside Collectibles, use discount code Kyle, save yourself 10%. Gotta get a deal out there. And we're gonna do this review like we do all the other reviews on the channel. We're gonna take a look at the packaging, we're gonna talk about it, we're gonna unbox it, we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna see where it goes from there, and we're doing Hulkster in this video. We'll do the other ones in other videos, but I wanna do a lot of comparisons here, including the old school LJNs and some of the new competitors in this day and age. So we'll do a lot of comparisons later on in this very video, but wild to see these. Of course, a staple of 80s action figure collections. Not just wrestling fans. There was a lot of kids at my school on the old playground once upon a time that had LJN figures that didn't even like wrestling. It's one of those things where your aunt, your grandma, whatever, oh, Hulk Hogan, little Timmy needs that for Christmas. And there was a lot of that going on. Now, I got into LJNs towards the end of the LJN craze. I'm not that old, people, but I was at the very end, but I was in the middle of it for the guts, right in the guts of the Hasbro when those launched. But I did get a lot of these LJNs via magazines, via a few stores around me. So I did kind of complete that collection when I was a kid and later as an adult. But I was really in that in-between time between Hasbro's and LJN. So I'm very fortunate I did spend time playing with these as a little kid. And I'm here for this re-release kind of with a twist. Now, it was a lot to take in at San Diego Comic-Con 2025 when this was officially announced. I like the idea. I actually love the idea. Give us the LJN style figures. To me, they're not dog toys. A lot of people say they're dog toys. Not to me. They're staples of my childhood playing days. However, I do understand you like what you like, you don't what you don't. They're not for everybody. And kids of a later generation, the Jakks generation into the Mattel generation, these are Mattel, but you know what I mean. They look at these like, how could you ever play with them? Well, once upon a time, we had a thing called imagination, and it was a wild thing once upon a time. But you can easily play with LJNs. Where people say you can't, man, you definitely could. But you did get some Rick Rudes every once in a while that made it pretty hard. But the LJNs were fun to play with. And when they announced this, I was very excited. However, in a plot twist, I'm not super excited for a re-release of the Hulk Hogan and some of the other ones like the Ultimate Warrior we're going to see. As I do feel it's going to hurt future value on the older ones. I know a lot of people saying, oh, it doesn't, it doesn't. Well, I've seen people in the comments say, hey, I really wanted that Ultimate Warrior. Now it's coming back out. I didn't really care what Ultimate Warrior I got. I just wanted representation. So now I can pick up the new one. I don't have to pick up the old one. Well, that guy that's trying to sell the old one on eBay, he has one less buyer there. And I get it. You know, who wants to spend $500-$600 for a loose Ultimate Warrior when you can get a new one for under $30? So I don't care what anybody says. I think it will hurt some collectors. It's going to be difficult to get some value out of some of these re-releases. Like this Hulkster, not really hard to find in the LJN days, not hard to find on eBay. It was easily the most mass-produced, one of the most mass-produced figures of the 80s in general. But people are going to want this one. They're not going to want an old beat-up one or one with a scuff on it or something when they can get this. So I do think it hurts the old stuff. I have no problems with the card art, doing any of that kind of stuff. But I do wish they would have tweaked it just a little bit. Make the Hulkster all the way in. Make the Hulkster flash in the bicep. Do something like that instead of just the exact same pose. Basically a re-release. Now, I mentioned like Masters Universe, the Origin style figures. Those are a beautiful updated take on the past. I wish we would have got something like that from Mattel with this instead of just a straight re-release. But that being said, I did get these through the mail via Target. They are pretty cool, and just opening the box, just a wave of nostalgic emotion over my face here, because I'll never forget the first time I got an LJN figure, and it was Outback Jack once upon a time. That was my first ever wrestling figure, but I'll never forget sitting in the cart, the grocery cart, kind of sitting in that front basket and wheeling up to that area and just looking, and it was only Outback Jack, so that was my only option to get. But just the look and feel and the magic of LJNs. When you were there, you were there. And if you're, younger than me or whatever, the first time you saw the first Mattel line, whatever it may be, you get flooded with that emotion. And this definitely brings that out. And I do think at the end of the day, I put my business hat on like everybody else. Some people put their pants on one leg at a time. I do 2 legs at a time, and then I put my business hat on. That's what I do. At the end of the day, Mattel, Hasbro, NECA, Todd McFarlane on the couch, they want every penny. They want every dollar. They want everything out of your wallet. They want your credit card numbers. They want it all because they want all your money. So if they feel there's money to be made here, guess what? They're going to do it. They're going to re-release these things. And it is about the money at the end of the day. Follow it and you'll get your answers, as we know. But we're going to get answers here today. We got the regular edition and Chase edition. Now, there's multiple posters with these. There's been a lot of hubbub on the internet that there's different variants of the blue carding. It depends how deep down the rabbit hole you want to go. As of right now, I'm not really interested in a Min on Card set. I'll buy a Min on Card Warrior and a Loose Warrior in my collection. And I ordered 2 of these and said, I'll be fun if I get the Chase or not. But basically, it's going to be the same figure. So it is what it is. I'll figure something out. But then I was very lucky, got the Chase and got the regular edition here. And then as I'm looking at them both, I noticed right off the bat, this Hulkster over here, he's got the hot dog tan. This one, he's been living in Alaska, brother. I don't know what's going on here. So now I'm like, oh, great. To be a completist of this line, I need both of these in my collection. So keeping both of these here. I got the tan Hulkster. You got the lighter skinned Hulkster. Your mileage may vary depending on what you want. This one is very much more like the original. This one, a twist on the original. Now, that is one thing, as I mentioned, make them different and stuff, put different poses. This would have worked for me. If this was the only version they had with a little bit more tan, I think that is the way I would have done it if I was Mattel. But once again, I'm speaking more collector than business hat guy that should be following the money. They're going to try to do this because they want that kid who didn't collect wrestling or whatever, go in the toy aisle with his kids, see it and say, oh my gosh, here's this Hulkster. I had it as a kid. I need to pick this up for old time's sake. I literally saw that a couple of times when Masters of the Universe Origins came out. People seeing He-Man and Skeletor like, whoa, I had these as a kid, and they bought them because of the nostalgia. So long-winded, a little business hat here, almost 10 minutes of business hat talk, but we got to set the stage for things like this. But now we're going to dive into it. We're going to dive into the regular one first. Now, unfortunately, I think a lot of people are having this issue. These are very close to the original, maybe a little thicker in the card. But man, the plastic still seems to be about the same. As unfortunately, both of mine came shipped to me with cracked plastic. So if I was a Min on Card collector for either of these wouldn't warrant in my collection. But it looks to be right up here on both of mine is where the plastic split. So your mileage may vary, but if you're after Min on Card versions of these, you're probably going to want to wait till they hit Target shelves. Sounds like that's going to be around Black Friday or so. So be on the lookout there. I don't think these are going to be very hard to find. I would not be shocked to see these go to clearance in the future. We're going to have to stay. We're going to have to play the long game. We'll see what ends up happening. But it is nostalgic. There's no doubt about it. But unfortunately, cracked plastic on both of these. WWE Superstars up there at the top. You got the new WWE logo. Now, nobody's going to confuse this for the old school LJN. There's just no way that's going to happen because you got so much stuff that says modernness on here. Like the classic WWE logo, it's not quite the same. Ages 6 and up on this one, though. And then you got the years on the back, says 2025 and stuff. So there's no confusing the packaging design, but very, very similar of the old one. You got the LJN logo down here. Now, we found out Mattel did buy LJN, so that's a pretty cool twist. They could have done this without that, but they wanted to make it as authentic as possible, so I do give Mattel kudos for that. It does say Mattel here. You got the Hulkster. I always thought he was working over Big John Studd. I think that's who it's supposed to be, but that's in my brain who it always was. You got the crowd in the background there. Hulk Hogan poster inside. Different posters. Now, as a kid, I collected my posters. They were all up on my wall. I wish I would have saved them. Wish I would have put pinholes in them. But that was the way when you were a kid. On the back, you can collect them all. Can I? Can I collect them all? Maybe I will. You got the UPC very high up top. You don't see that very often. WWE Superstars. You do got the blurb on the back here. We'll get to that. Going to be the same blurb between both of these, so we'll read one of them. Cross sell down below. I did get Logan Paul in the mail. Still waiting on Dusty. Still waiting on John Cena. Coming sooner than later. Doesn't say anything else. Figures sold separately. Nothing else crazy down here, but these are currently Target exclusives for those that are wondering. Proof of purchase, WWE Superstars Mattel. Smash them, slam them, wrestle them. You can collect them all. That's perfect. Maybe I will. Maybe I will. But let's get him out of the box. Let's see what the Hulkster's up to here. Not sure the best way. And when in doubt, you go through the back door, right, Tom and Farland? That's what we always say. When in doubt, go through the back door. But you got to go slow. You got to ease your way into it. We know how that goes. You do get the Hulk Hogan poster inside. It looks like it's taped up, possibly. Yep, there it is. We're going to find out the old poster here. No plans from me about displaying this poster. Maybe you want to display it, though. Nobody's going to fault anybody for putting this up in their locker at school or something like that. Nothing else in there. See you later. Goodbye. And what do we got? Tonight, the main event, classic Hulkster, Hulk Hogan, USA #1 in the background, but pretty cool, very nostalgic once again. They feel a little bit different than the ones I had once upon a time, but that makes a lot of sense. And I think I see me down here with the hat on. I think that might be me from back in the day. Shorter hair, of course, but always rocking the hat. But nice to get that along the way there. And now we're going to get the Hulkster out of the package. He's got a little back brace there. Watch out, brother. See you later. Goodbye. Yeah, that does look like John Studd. I think it's all John Studd there, but looking very good here. See you later. Goodbye once again. And now we got the Hulkster out of the package here. Wild. Well, I might as well get this one out of the package too. Let's do them both first. How about? But there's Hulkster Classic. Look at that. He's got the tan going on. You got the black card here. The black card series I'll never forget as a kid for my birthday. Getting Haku, getting Andre the Giant, getting the Ultimate Warrior, getting the Big Boss Man, getting the Warlord. But I skipped Rick Rude, a kid that wanted every figure you could possibly get. I even told my dad, don't even bother this Rick Rude. We don't need him in the collection. There's nothing I can do with him. There's nothing I can do. Pretty wild, though, that I would turn that down. That's how bad that figure was. Would love to see them make a nice Rick Rude. Let's right that wrong. Let's give us a different position for Rick Rude. Hopefully that happens in the future. But a lot of the same stuff going on here. The back is blue, just like the other one, so no black card on the back. It is a little bit different between the two, as you can see the colors. But it does got the blurb. Let's read this one here. Hulk Hogan, the WWE World Champion, is one of the best known and most charismatic athletes in the history of sports and entertainment. This real American from Venice Beach, California, has captured the imagination and won the hearts of legions of Hulkamaniacs from around the world. Anytime the Hulkster is around, Hulkamania runs wild. Oh boy, does it ever. It runs wild. Runs through our veins to this day, does it not? Well, not me, because I wasn't a little Hulkster, but there was a lot of little Hulksters out there. Uh-oh, just tearing through the package. Not opening is easy on this one for whatever reason. But it's not a mint on card guy, it's an opener, and we'll get it out. We'll get it out here. There we go. Hulkamania, see you later, goodbye. Bam, back brace, see you later, goodbye. And then once again, we should have the poster here, and it should be a different poster this go around. See you later, goodbye. Ooh, and it's tightly wrapped, and it's got a little rubber band around it as well. There we go, rubber band off. And what do we got for the Hulkster? Man, this is a tight roll on this one. Hulk Hogan got a different background here. Looking cool. I see Steve and Bill in the background. I see Robert. It looks like some of the Coliseum Collection friends made their way onto the carding for this one, or the poster. Different version of the Hulkster, different title belt as well. Not bad, but man, very tightly rolled on this one compared to the other one. But you can see that going there. Very cool to have. Gonna probably go in my fodder bin or something. I don't really have a use for those. Maybe you do. I do not. But now we're gonna dive into the Hulkster. Gonna be the same figure twice. The only difference between these two is the tan. That's about it. That is about it. But we're gonna dive into it. Let's go with the OG Hulkster here. He does get the title belt. Very cool to get that classic title belt. Once upon a time, everybody had that title belt. Everybody had this Hulk Hogan figure. Looking good in the title belt department. But the Hulkster in the head sculpt, you know who this is. Now, I wouldn't say this looks just like Hulk Hogan. It's like a Randy Hogan. It's like a fake Hogan impersonator. However, so iconic, so nostalgic. We know who this is supposed to be, and you got to think, this is, 40 plus years ago this came out. This is the best they could do at the time, but man, oh man, does it look good. He's got the big old Fu Manchu like a young Goose Gossage. Got the headband over the top. The 80s were a wild time. A lot of crazy fitness stuff. Headbands were a big thing once upon a time. Don't question it. Don't question it. Hulkster a little bit better in the hair department as well. No bald spot yet at this point, but it's coming. It's coming. But the Hulkster looking good. The eyes on point for this one. 2 eyes, 2 ears, a nose, and a mouth. Playing those Hulkster hits. White teeth on the Hulkster. Got the wrist tape here in white. Got the 2 fists of the Hulkster Fury looking very good. Obviously, no articulation with these figures. I think most of us know that. It doesn't quite feel like the old ones, so I don't foresee anybody being fooled really, but I guess you put it on eBay, you can't touch it before you buy it. But this does not feel like the classic ones. Now, it feels pretty close. There is some movement to this, but it's not as rubbery, and that's the best term I'm going to use, rubbery as the old ones. But he does got the nipples going on. He got the glossy body looking very nice here. No scuffs, no scratches. It's weird to see this one minty mint like this, but looks very good. You got the yellow trunks, the yellow boots, got the red knee pads. We're playing all those Hulkster hits. I mean, you know exactly who this is. Now, I was interested on the foot. It does say 2025 Mattel. So just like the packaging shows 2025, shows 2025 here. Nobody's going to be confused, I think. Nobody's going to be pawned off on this. I mean, it'll happen, but it's going to be pretty rare. But it does look good. I like that they mark them differently. I just don't like that it's the same pose, the same thing. If they could have gave us the tan and just the tan, I would have been good with that. But I would have liked to see this personally in a different pose. Like one of those where he's just, flowing up the bi there. Maybe do something different. Something like that is what it is. But I do like the tan skin. I'm here for the hot dog tan. I tell you, this looks more Hulk Hogan to me. Maybe that's just my years of seeing him with the hot dog tan. But it's almost like this is the way they felt Mattel. This is how they felt LJN should have done it. They're going to right that wrong, whatever you want to call it. Should have been tan. They made it this way. And then this is the nod to the past. Could be either way. But man, very cool though. There's no denying this is cool. There's no denying this is very nostalgic. I think this is going to hit home for a lot of people. And I'm sure Mattel is hoping this is going to bring new collectors back into the wrestling space. And it very well could be. Maybe somebody will say, you know what? I never collected wrestling figures. I stopped, but I'm just going to collect these LJN figures. And that would be a very fun sub-collection. Maybe we get 18 to 20 figures a year. That's pretty easy. That's pretty manageable compared to the Elite line and stuff like that. So there is good opportunities along the way. And look at that. He stands up just on his own. I don't think the old Hulkster once upon a time would do that. And I do have that right here. Yeah, he doesn't stand as well. So I do appreciate that, but I think a lot of that has to do with the harder plastic they used. It's a lot more softer, rubbery on this LJN here. Obviously different material. This material probably causes cancer or something. Who knows all these years later, but very cool though. Very cool, very similar. And it's almost like when you put these guys together, boy, it's almost like the transition, like the brand new one, very pale. On his way, he's getting a little bit orange, and then he went full-on hot dog tan. So it's almost the tradition of the Hulkster. The eyes are definitely different. I mean, there's differences here. You can tell which one is different than the other one, but very, very similar. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Size-wise, everything else. But the feel, rubbery on the old school LJN, the new school, a little bit harder, almost like a big rubber guy, dare I say. And it's probably a perfect time to do some big rubber guy comparisons. As I did grab Andre the Giant. Makes a lot of sense. Compare him to Andre, his greatest foe around this time. And I would say, guess what? That scale's pretty darn good, if you ask me. I like the looks of that. I don't know. You guys sound off. What are your thoughts on the scaling there? Speaking of scaling, how about the Nature Boy Ric Flair, another big rubber guy? You can kind of see those guys scaling next to each other. Not a bad piece of business. Now, the Hulkster does have his knees bent. If he was fully standing up, I think he would be as tall or taller than Andre. So, I don't know. Take it what you want on that one there. But then, how about a little Latoony? They're making a lot of Macho Mans. They're making Demolition and others. You can kind of see how the Macho Man squares up, the Latoony Macho Man. I think that works just fine. This one isn't too far off from the LJN either. And it's crazy to me, this one probably feels the most of the LJN. The rubber on this one feels the closest to the old school LJN. The big rubber guys don't have as much give. They're rubber, but it feels different for whatever reason. So you got to mention that along the way. We're not done though. We got other big rubber guys, LJN inspired figures over the years. How about Jakks Classic Superstars? You can see him square up against the Classic Superstars Undertaker LJN edition. Obviously doesn't work, unfortunately. How about OSFTM, Original San Francisco Toy Makers? Man, oh man, when I was a kid, I thought these were going to be LJN. Then I saw them at KB and I said, oh man, they're not the same. And I ended up not buying really any of those. Did get them many years later. But you can kind of see the comparison right there in size. And then we got the LJNs back in the day. The Young Bucks. Never forget when the Young Bucks had LJN figures. You can see how that looks there. Looks like a different toy line for the most part, but it is what it is. But we did get LJN Young Bucks officially once upon a time. But very cool to see this. This is the big three of the LJN style figures right now. We got LJN, obviously. You got big rubber guys, and you got Latoony. It's wild to think here we are in 2025, all these years later, what's old is new again, and we're getting big rubber guys. We're getting a lot of these figures, and I'm here for it. I just want it to be as different as possible, but that's just one's opinion. I totally get it if you're like, hey, I'm glad they're doing the same stuff. You like what you like, you don't what you don't. I always say it on the channel. But pretty cool, very nostalgic trip down memory lane with this one here. Be interested to see where we go in the future. You know, we got CM Punk, we got some of the new stars. Not sure how the newer stars, and CM Punk, you know what I mean, newer stars, current stars. It'll be interesting to see how they resonate, because I can see people that collected LJN saying, I just want classic guys. I don't want current guys. I don't need Jey Uso as an LJN. It'll be interesting to see how that goes. To me personally, I would stick to Legends for the LJN line, but Mattel's going to do what they want to do. They are a business, and obviously they got money invested in that, so it's up to them. But it'll be interesting to see how this line goes. It'll be really interesting to see how this resonates on the store shelves when they hit Target shelves around Black Friday or so. Be very interested to see how fast these move. Do they go to clearance? Do they bunch up? Is there going to be some popularity around them? A lot of things not answered yet, and I can't wait to find out. Being a store rep myself, can't wait to see how this line does. Can't wait to see what we get in the future. So a lot of fun right here. We're going to stay tuned, and we're going to cover it all. We're going to unbox them all on the channel. So there it is, LJN Hulk Hogan ×2. Be very interested to hear your thoughts on this one. Did you pick up the Hulkster? Did you pick up the line? What is your thoughts here? You admiring from afar? Is this getting you back into collecting? Let me know your thoughts on the Hulkster and the line in general in the comments down below. You made it this far, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn on the old notification bell, as we got videos every single day, and then some. We got even more content for you on Patreon, YouTube channel memberships. Check them out if you have not already. Sir Paul64 on the X, _Kyle_Peterson on Threads, Instagram, TikTok, and TheKylePetersonShow at gmail.com, which conveniently enough is the name of my podcast, The Kyle Peterson Show, every single Tuesday wherever podcasts are found, with video cast on YouTube. So for LJN Hulkamania, I'm Kyle. See you guys all real soon.
Are we gonna dance or are we gonna play?
I'm sorry.